Today we're here to talk about Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. But you may notice there's nothing on the table because this is a digital review. We're talking about the digital version of the game from Daisu. This game is the fantastical fusion of Castles of Mad King Ludwig and Between Two Cities, and this time you are building two castles.
If you're unfamiliar with the original physical versions of the game, I'll lay it out for you briefly. Like Mad King Ludwig, the board game, you'll be collecting tiles and trying to place them into different parts of your castle. Depending on how you arrange them, what they're next to or not next to, they'll gain points based on maybe the certain type that they have, which is associated with a color and a room type, or other special qualifications that they have. And then like Between Two Cities, you'll be doing so with another person, your neighboring players. So you actually have two castles that you're worrying about, and together as players, you're deciding where you're going to put your tiles on any given round. Of course, in the case of this game, that's also going to take place with AI if you're playing the single player, so you have to figure out what the computer wants to do along with you. And then you'll score points, and when the game ends, you'd see who has the most points of their castles. Now, this is an interesting one because this is an example of a game where we haven't had the chance to play the physical Between Two Cities of Mad King Ludwig, but we did play the digital version. And so coming into it for the first time, we don't need to review the game itself necessarily, but I thought it was, it was what I expected from what the description of the game is and my experience with Mad King Ludwig. And I think that for the most part, they pretty well replicated at least the basic idea, visually and mechanically of taking your tiles and putting them into the part of the board that you're going to. I also think one thing that's cool about it is in the digital version, it's vertical kind of because you're looking at it on a screen. I thought that was kind of a nice visual representation.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I think about it, I'm thinking about I'm spreading out the castle on here, not that when there's a basement, it's usually like that just...
Yeah, this one, it actually is your basement. So I thought that kind of helped me in some times like strategize and visualize what I was looking at and where I wanted things to go. I don't know, how'd you feel in general about the gameplay and the way they adapted it?
For me, in some ways, anytime when you have a digital game, it's nice because you can just click and draw. You don't have to draw a card or wait for things. But at the same time, for something like this, I'm the kind of guy who likes to see how things click together, and I don't feel it's the same thing on a computer, whether they have a confirmation or not kind of deal. There's just something I'd like to. And because in this game in particular, that you're building two things, they are on the screen at the same time. You have to sort of go back and forth. Which was a little, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just like a little annoying. There's some other games where it's like everything's on. You can just scroll around if you need.
There are definitely times when, they show you your choices of tiles you can take for the round. And I felt like I would sometimes forget, these are both great for this castle. I forget to look at the other one. It'd be nice if they had some better visual reminder of that. I think the biggest issue with this game is that you can't talk to the computer. So in real life, this game does involve discussion. So you can sit with your neighbor once you've picked your tiles and say, where do you think this should go? Or you should put that here.
Well, and not only that, there's a lot more, in a game like this, there's the kind of table talk you'd expect to be like, hold on. If you help me get more points here, then I'm going to, you can do a bit more, that kind of.
Look at their castle. They're way too good. You shouldn't, or something like that. Be careful about that player, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that element is removed. Now you can play online, but there is not a local option for multiple players. You can't sit down and go back and forth either. So you got to make sure.
I can understand why because it's a lot harder compared to some other games, but at the same time, for example, the Ticket to Ride game, it's really nice to be able to be on the couch at the same time or just past the tablet.
Yeah, that is definitely a good option to have. I felt like this version of the game, I'm assuming it seemed like, again, not having played strictly what this was based on, it felt almost more, definitely more solitary, but a little more puzzle-like. I felt like because of that, it didn't have the discussion aspect. There was still some fun for me of trying to focus on where should this go and how should I optimize it, and I have to think about the computer in a different way than a human. So I don't think it's not the same, and maybe it isn't as good, but I do think it offers a different experience that some people might still like from that.
That is true. It's definitely going to feel more. Of course, it feels solitary if you play with just the NPCs.
Just yourself, yeah.
But then that's a bonus because this might be the only way you'll get a chance to play something like this sometimes. With any of these games. just being able to have that aspect. Some games only allow online play or something, and that can be a pain in connecting forever. If you don't want to wait, just play with the computers.
Yeah, it does offer a tutorial in game so you can get up to speed, but I also don't think there's it doesn't really feature a full rule book or anything like that. So if you want to get into the real nitty gritty of it, some of those specifics might go past you if you haven't played the other games that it's based on. But otherwise, it's a fairly complete package. Crits and misses for the digital edition of Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Crits. If you're a fan of the physical game, you'll be happy with this, as for the most part, it has faithfully recreated all of those elements, but with some digital upgrades, of course being able to play by yourself with AI opponents, as well as having some nice tweaks here and there to help guide you in the right direction as you choose where to place your tiles.
As in the case with any digital adaptation of a board game, it's nice when the setup is simply a few clicks, you have the chance to play solo in a game that usually doesn't come with a solo mode, and that most of the pieces or maybe some other rules are either shown to you or just done under the hood that you don't have to really care about them.
Assuming you're playing on a laptop or a computer, not a tablet, having the castle laid out vertically in front of you is a nice thematic touch, and I thought that it did help you strategize and visualize exactly how you wanted your plays to go.
Misses. You lose a great deal of the table talk in this, whether it's trying to talk to the computers or even other players. And unfortunately, I really feel like this game loses out on that discussion.
It certainly is a huge aspect of the original physical version of the game, so if that's what you were playing for, and for probably a lot of people that is what made it enjoyable, you are lacking that here.
There is a solo mode, which is nice, but there is no couch co-op. You have to play online with other people, and as of this recording, that online play area is pretty sparse.
Unless you have a group of friends that you specifically know also bought the game digitally and you can set up a time to play with them online, it's going to be tough to find those games to really get the experience that you got from the original game in multiplayer.
This is another edition in the board game collection that is all digital and not simply just converted over in like Tabletopia. This has its own program, and therefore you don't have to move the pieces yourself in just a digital area. It takes care of some of that stuff, which is good. But at the same time, it really does seem to miss out on a couple things that are disappointing that, at least I think in Tabletopia, especially if you're in VR, you're going to still have people talking on mics and stuff. I don't know if this really seemed to have, at least from our experience.
Yeah, I definitely think this is something to get only if you're really a die-hard fan of the game and you want to be able to build castles wherever you are.
I don't even think die-hard maybe you fall under die-hard if you do this, but if you have a group of friends who all like the game enough to get it.
Yeah, but either one of those, yeah. Honestly, I'm assuming that that's just probably not on the table because I think it's really hard to convince a whole group to be like, yeah, spend your $13.99 on this board game and we'll definitely play together. But other people's experience.
It is if everyone else moves away.
Maybe in that case, but I think that if you just liked the game for the game and you like having all of the aspects and you aren't just obsessed with, oh man, I just want to play it whenever I can, no matter what the form is. I think this is probably one that you can skip. The other versions definitely are better, but it does feel a little rough around the edges, I will say, and I know they are planning some updates, and especially in regard to the AI. I think they said they are working on improving some of that stuff. So the computers where they put their tiles, maybe you can alter a little more, and it's a little more easygoing. So this may be one that you want to check back on, 6 months, a year or so, and there may be more updates going on. But that's what it is right now, and we'll see if Daisu Games does any more partnerships with Stonemaier on any of the other digital titles in the works.
What they really need to do is add personalities to AI, so you can get the one guy who refuses to listen to you.
They should.
And then the one who always listens to you, maybe the one who only does who wants to help someone else, just come with some really weird personalities there.
Things like that could be added to the game. Let us know, have you played Between Two Cities of Mad King Ludwig?
Digital
or Two
or
Castles,
physical?
either way. Yeah, digital, physical, whichever version. Do you have an opinion on this? Talk to us in the comment section down below. Until next time, we'll see you guys in the digital frontier. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
This was Roll for Crit. We would love it if you liked and subscribed to this channel and supported us on Patreon as well.
If you choose to support us, turn to page 25.